Let's shift focus now, and the hearings of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture allegations will resume tomorrow. Last year, the Commission heard bombshell testimony from politicians and state-owned enterprise employees regarding the Gupta family's grip on the country. For more on this, we're joined by ENCA's Erin Bates, who joins me from our newsroom. And so, Erin, towards the end of the year, we started hearing the political testimony, including, of course, from the now ANC chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, and other politicians, including people like Mzwane Lemanyi. What do we expect will come up before the Zondo Commission first tomorrow?
Well, we're going to start off again quite procedurally tomorrow, Tulesi's, where it's going to be a day of an application in relation to testimony from a witness not yet disclosed, who will speak later in the week. And the inquiry spokesperson and communications team have not yet indicated any of the witnesses who will be before Zondo, the chairperson, when hearings resume for this year, tomorrow, or begin for this year, rather, tomorrow. But we do know that cross-examination of Fakey Mentor and Mcebisi Jonas by lawyers for Duduzane Zuma is pending, and so that may well be one of the issues that comes up on the agenda in the next coming days.
But in terms of this application, Erin, I suppose the Commission communicators are trying to build some suspense here, because it just says it's in relation to an application in relation to a witness, and that's it.
Exactly, which leaves us with so many questions and so few answers. A very frustrating position to be in at this point, and hopefully some of those questions will be answered first thing tomorrow morning. And of course, Tulas, we have seen before with witnesses that their names have not been disclosed. In the case of Brian Curran, for example, until moments before they testified. And there was some indication when I spoke to members of the inquiry team last week that we could have a witness quite similar to that in this week when the 2019 hearings begin, that this person's name is so sensitive, the nature of the testimony they're going to give at the Commission so delicate that their name won't be issued to the public until minutes before they take the stand, take their oath, and then testify.
So let's talk about what we do know then, Erin, that we know for sure, is that, for instance, Fakey Mentor was due to return to the stand to be cross-examined, and that was really in the last week of the Commission's work last year. So it's not unthinkable that she would be top of the list in terms of prioritizing who comes before the Commission first. What are some of the issues that are likely to come up in that cross-examination?
Well, I have to say, in terms of Fakey Mentor's testimony, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, and not only from the likes of Duduzane Zuma's counsel. Fana Hlongwane, for example, indicating that he might be willing to take legal action against her, and she did, in her testimony before Zondo, indicate some confusion between Brian Hlongwa and Fana Hlongwane, and who exactly she met when she met Duduzane Zuma on a flight overseas in the Middle East. That's a question that needs to be answered. Also, the veracity of her version of events at the Gupta's Saxonwold home. We know that the legal team for the Zondo Commission did in fact go to those premises with Fakey Mentor toward the end of last year to try and verify her description of the architecture. And some of our viewers may well remember the vivid details she gave about a golden bathroom, about French mirrors and the like. And some of that detail is what's going to be scrutinized and may well have been already through that visit to the Saxonwold estate. But we also know that the testimony of Mcebisi Jonas is under scrutiny by Duduzane Zuma's counsel, and the Guptas too approached the Commission to try and get permission to cross-examine some of the witnesses, because they, along with the former president and his son, are so squarely implicated in these allegations of state capture.
Yeah, and also just talking about Mcebisi Jonas, the team for Duduzane Zuma basically disputes the whole story that he has told of how he was offered a bribe of 600 million rand in exchange for him taking the position of finance minister and doing the Gupta's bidding. So we can expect that that's what they want to raise with him, isn't it?
Yes, we can. And what's interesting is that if you go back to some of the submissions from Duduzane Zuma, Fana Hlongwane and one of the Gupta brothers last year, in response to Jonas's testimony, there was a lot of congruence in their version of events. And Duduzane Zuma has not denied that there was a meeting involving Jonas at the Gupta's compound and that Hlongwane was there. The real dispute is the nature of that meeting and what did or didn't happen within earshot of him, or in fact in his very presence. And those three statements statements from Duduzane Zuma, Fana Hlongwane and one of the Gupta brothers were all signed by the same Commissioner of Oaths in Dubai on the same day last year after Jonas's testimony. And you know, Tulas, we heard so much during last year's inquiry hearings that it's almost easy to forget just how damning the allegations are, not only against Duduzane Zuma and the Guptas, but also the former President Jacob Zuma, who we've seen very merrily and affably campaigning with the ANC as we head into this national election season. So it's easy to forget that this is the same former president of the governing party and the state who stands squarely accused by the likes of Nwako Ramatlhodi of misleading the NEC, misleading cabinet, also on the version of Praveen Gordhan, the Public Enterprises Minister, and on Ramatlhodi's version, auctioning off executive power to the highest bidder, which on his version were the Guptas.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we will focus a bit more on the politics of it all a bit later on here on ENCA now. For now, let's let you go, Erin. Thank you so much for that update. That's ENCA's Erin Bates giving us a glimpse into what to expect from the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, which does resume tomorrow. We have